The Michigan Renaissance Festival. That's, the Royal Glassmakers is another division of the Glass Academy and Furnace Design Studio. This is an outdoor demonstration area and gallery at Michigan Renaissance Festival, which is something that is an unbelievable experience added into the Glass Academy, because we have a whole different level of customer interaction and glass blowing skill level performance. We had some clients specifically ask us to produce some wedding goblets or chalices for them, and that's what we're doing here. Adding on some amber and some pinks and purples onto the initial gather. I'm working on the color technique right now, which Fred's going to be bringing me over a opaque purple wrap, which we're going to be wrapping in a kind of a spiral fashion onto the piece. And this is going to be a specific design that the Glass Academy and the Royal Glassmakers has kind of trademarked, called the Van Gogh technique, which is pretty cool. It ties in with the Starry Night design of the painting Van Gogh's Starry Night. And I'm using the tweezers, or pinzettas in Italian, to twist these spiral color gradations into a Starry Night pattern. And this is only a color pattern on the surface of the glass. While the glass is really small, I'm going to end up gathering over this color pattern with a molten crystal encasement, and then I'll blow out the top of the chalice into its full shape. So right now this is still a solid piece of glass, and I haven't even melted the color into the surface completely yet. But once I've blown a little air bubble inside of that, I've gathered over it with the clear crystal now. This is now called encased glass, and I've actually encased the color in between a clear piece of glass, and then the color went on, and then another clear coating on the outside. Rolling the glass on the steel plate is pretty important. It's important for two reasons. It's not only to shape the glass, but it's also chills the surface of the glass. So when I blow the air into the blowpipe, it blows out symmetrical. Because what a lot of people don't know is different colors melt at different temperatures. And blowing out multiple colors into a symmetrical shape is very difficult unless you chill the surface of the glass and you chill the temperatures, so that when you blow air into the piece, it blows out evenly. It doesn't blow through the softer glass. You see Fred adding some air into the end of the blowpipe. That's an Italian style of blowing glass called bench blowing, and I'm actually shaping the chalice's vessel, the top of it, while Fred's blowing into the piece. And I'm creating a neckline with the large tools here called the jacks. That's where the piece is going to break off of the blowpipe. You know, timing on making a chalice like this is really important, because when you add on another bit, like right now, you have to have that piece that you're working on solid so that it stays on center. It needs to stay very symmetrical, just like a lathe. You don't want an asymmetrical shape, you want a symmetrical shape. I've instructed Fred to start creating the interior of the base of the chalice, and he's done that and gathered clear crystal over that. We're going to drop that onto the bottom of the main vessel of the chalice, and we're going to shape that into the bottom of the chalice. This is another signature piece that we do a lot of out at the Michigan Renaissance Festival. There's quite a few different shapes and designs for drinking vessels, but the chalice is something that's historically evolved in the Renaissance times, and it's pretty cool to be able to create pieces in the modern day that were actually developed in the Renaissance times by some of the Renaissance masters. Becca, you can see in the background, she's actually explaining the process to the audience. You know, we've got an audience of maybe 100 people, and those people don't know what's going on, and that's another great benefit to demonstrating before people is that you can explain to them the whole process, because when they're drinking out of these pieces at their wedding, they're going to have so much more connection with those pieces, knowing that they saw and experienced how that piece was made. I mean, that is what it is all about. You know, we needed to build a whole nother glass blowing studio to take out to the Michigan Renaissance Festival. That studio sits out there all year long, even though we blow glass out there and demonstrate for 7 weekends. We still have that studio out there, and the expense of that studio, it's not running, but it's definitely there, but it's just a big piece of equipment to be moving around, so we leave it out there all year long. So we're preparing to transfer the piece. The piece is going to have to be broken off the blowpipe and added onto a punty, which is, a punty is what holds the piece while you're opening up the top of the vessel. We're putting an additional decorative element onto the bottom of the piece, and that is going to match a lip wrap that we're going to add onto the top of the piece after we punty the piece up. Punty comes from the punty mark and leaves a ponto mark on the bottom of the piece. The punty rod, which Fred is gathering up a small gather of glass on the bottom of the rod, he's going to attach that right onto the bottom of the piece on center, just like a lathe. And then we're going to chill the neck of the piece with the cold portion of the jacks and tap the pipe, and the piece will disconnect, and at that point we'll be able to go heat that up and open up the top to finish the piece. So heating up the top of the piece, we're going to pull that out and we're going to trim the lip of the vessel. That's very important, especially on functional glassware, because you want to have a nice thin lip on the chalice. That makes it comfortable and makes it very light and elegant. This allows you to control the height of the piece as well too. So we're making a matching set, we can make them the same height. You see, I'm using the jacks to open that up, and Fred is preparing a matching gold lip wrap, which will wrap around the lip. I think being completely engulfed in the glass or immersed in the glass when you're out there for a whole weekend is very important for glass blowers, because it really allows you to live the glass and experience the glass and work the glass for a long period of time. And I think that that's something that's very important for a glass blower, is to be completely engulfed in the material.